Welcome to the That's Life podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
Hey, everyone. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the That's Life podcast, where we sit down and we talk about everything. We talk about the goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the overs, the unders, the victories, the defeats, whatever it is that happens in life. This is where we go to. This is where I come to be able to talk about my experiences and what I'm going through, but hopefully can bring you guys along in that journey for you to also be able to understand and be able to relate to whatever I'm doing, or whatever might work for me. Or maybe it's just a venting session, right? Maybe it's just basically I'm sitting here with a microphone and I'm just complaining about everything that has to do with life. I mean, we all need those days. We need those moments. We need those outlets. We need whatever it is. Some people use punching bags. Some people use racquetball courts or pickleball courts. Some people use weightlifting. Some people use writing. Some people use art. I'm like a mixture of a bunch of things, but this podcast is a way for me to be able to sit down and just kind of go through whatever it is that's bothering me at that moment in time. So in this podcast, this episode here, I want to pose a question to you. Now I'm going to preface it by saying this is going to make a lot of you very uncomfortable. So I want you to be ready. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think to yourself, if you're listening to this in the morning, as you're kicking off your day or you're heading into work or you're heading out and about and doing whatever, I want you to think to yourself, where do you rank on your priority of items to be able to do things today? Here's what I mean. Everybody usually sets some sort of goals. So basically, maybe we're looking at things like, I got to go shopping today, or I got to hit the gym today, or I'm going to visit the in-laws or the parents, or I'm going to a PTA meeting, or I'm going to parent-teacher conferences, or whatever else. You got all these things that you're listing out of items that are priorities for you today to be able to accomplish. So my question that's going to make each one of you uncomfortable, because 90% of us that are on this podcast that are listening to these words and everything else, we are so focused and fixated on making sure that we take care of other individuals that we don't necessarily look inward to take a look at where we are as people, as our own selves, or whatever else, and where we rank ourselves on that priority really does matter. But a lot of times we don't even rank it up there. Like, you can list down 20 things. I bet you right now, like if you were to take a look at everything right now, you're sitting down, you're putting together some goals, you're putting together some different things you want to be able to accomplish and whatever else. And I want you to sit down and I want you to really kind of map it out. Write down the things that are your priorities today. Write down the things that are important to you today that you want to be able to accomplish. Then, after you do that, what I want you to do is I want you to then rank out each one of those different items. I want you to take a look at it, and I want you to go 1 through 10. If there's 10 items you're working on, I want you to rank them out 1 through 10. I want you to rank them out 1 through 10. Okay, so 1 being the least of the items, or at least the priorities, and I want you to put 10s. And I can almost guarantee you, as you're sitting there ranking these things out and you're taking inventory of what you want to be able to work on, almost all of us, including me, rank ourselves as the least of our priority. I mean, it's just what we do. Because a lot of times what we're doing is we're taking care of everybody else. We're taking care of our in-laws. We're taking care of our parents. We're taking care of our kids. Everything else. And really at the age that I'm at right now, so I'm in my early 50s. And when I look at it, one of the conversations that I actually had with my doctor was he sat down and we were talking about nutrition, and we were talking about coming up with a plan to be able to eat better and more healthy, more like a Mediterranean style diet, to be able to increase some fiber and some proteins, but also keep it to leafy greens and different things like that. So we talked a lot about stuff like that. And one of the things that he said to me was, a lot of times we get in our own way with our own thoughts in our head. So basically what he was saying is here you are in your low 50s. You've got a semi-adult child, right? 19 years old, turning 20 here soon. Considered an adult child. He's working full time. He's doing his thing. But he still lives with us. He's still here because expenses out there in the real world is absolutely extreme, and we've all been there, and we all can see that. As a matter of fact, many parents are having the kids come back into the home because it's so expensive out there, and the cost of living is so much, and groceries is so much, and everything else. So you got this end of it, right? You got your kids becoming adults, and you're there, so it's kind of stressing you out, even though it's not like child stress, like getting things to sporting events and all these other things or whatever else, right? But this is a different type of stress. So basically, your adult child is living with you in the house, and then you also have your parents who are aging out. So a lot of them are getting a little bit older. Some can't get around as well. You see the age on them as time progresses, because Father Time wins all, right? And we all know that, but we don't want it to happen. But, it does. Father Time wins all of those little battles. And so we're seeing our parents age, and we're seeing our kids age. And here we are trying to balance both of those equations. We're trying to balance these things out. So whether you're helping the parents to be able to live in an assisted living, or maybe they're living at the house with you and you're taking care of them, and as they get older, they're less mobile and they can't get around as much. So it takes more of your time and more of your energy and finances and everything else. And then you've got the other end with the adult child in the house that, you might charge rent, or you might charge different stuff to be able to give them some responsibilities, but they're trying to save money. They're trying to do different stuff, and they're also just trying to be able to grow up and live life and do the things that they're doing. So you got stress levels there. So here's a two-part equation that the doc was sitting down with me and told me, listen, you're in this place that a lot of people struggle through. They struggle because they forget about themselves during this time frame. So the healthy eating, the leafy greens, the fibers, the proteins, the exercise, the weightlifting, all that stuff gets put on the back burner because you've got so many other things going on in your life. And these two perfect equations that you've got going on are literally a perfect storm to take you away from everything you have to do with prioritizing yourself. And that's the purpose of this podcast. This episode right here is a call to action. It's for you to take a moment to step back and say to yourself, where am I ranking myself on the list of items I have to take care of? Maybe I'm going through divorce. Maybe I'm going through a separation. Maybe I got other stuff going on that's just really devastating and taking away from all my time. And what we always hear, you guys have heard it, right? When you get a lot of stuff going on, you get family and friends trying to help out or whatever, and you get a lot of people that will tell you, hey, make sure you take time for yourself, right? Easier said than done, but that's what they say. Make sure you take time for yourself. Why? Because the old adage of pulling from an empty cup is something that does not work. If you're pulling from an empty cup, it's literally just tapping into an empty battery cell. And the more and more dead that battery cell becomes, the more detrimental it is towards your mindset, towards your health, towards if you're trying to lose weight, all these things. All the stress is one of the leading causes of all of the different disease that we feel, all the different things that happen to us. Stress adds to a lot of that. So we do forget to take advantage of what we have around us. So when I say prioritize yourself, it really depends on what you want to be able to prioritize yourself with. So when I opened this, I basically said, whatever it is that you like to do, like I was saying, this podcast is an outlet for me. It's a venting session. It's me sitting down and talking about whatever might be pissing me off at this moment in time, or maybe it's something that's stressing me out at this time or whatever else. And I throw it out there. I throw it up against the wall. You guys, I know, are listening to it, and you can hear me and you can relate, all those things. And it's really helpful for me. So I found something like a podcast, a blog that I might write, or a video cast, or whatever else that's there that I can use as a therapeutic tool for me to be able to move forward and keep investing in me. So, first question, do you have any of those items in your life? Do you have certain things that are healthy options for you to be able to go to help yourself? So are you a bike rider? Do you like swimming in a pool? Do you like going for walks? Do you like nature? Do you like flowers? Do you like taking pictures? Do you like being a photographer? Do you like artwork? Do you like opening up a easel and putting a brush to the canvas and be able to paint something, or whatever it is that you know you have in your life, that you know when you're doing it, all the things happen in your life where things start to calm down. Your blood pressure comes down a little bit. Your stress levels come down a little bit. You feel like you're accomplishing something for your own self when you actually take the time to do it. But the problem is that even if we have those things in our lives, first we have to identify it. Identify first. So write this down on a piece of paper. I want you to put this at the top of the heading of whatever paper that you're using, or journal, or whatever it is. And I want you to put at the very top of the paper, this is something that I need to do that helps me, helps relax me, helps bring the stress levels down, helps to invest in me. Even if it's something as simple as going into a hot tub or going into a sauna, or sitting in the morning when everybody's like not awake yet, and you're sitting there as the sun is rising and you're just sitting there in the sunshine, soaking in some of that vitamin D, sipping on a nice cup of coffee. That's your relaxed time. Write that down. Whatever it is that you have in your life that you know helps you, that will invest in you, will give you better framework and better mind work and everything that you want to be able to do moving forward, write that down. Okay, so that's the first thing. The first step of this whole entire podcast is to make sure we identify what works for us. And remember, I did say the key word to it is a healthy item to use, something that you can benefit from, and not something like, and I know a lot of people might resort to drinking some booze or smoking some 420 or whatever else. You got all these different options that people have across the board. I get all those things, right? What I mean is healthy options for you to be able to move forward that's still investing in yourself. So if that healthy option, let's say, for instance, you say, my good time, the time that I need in my life is spending time with my family. Maybe I want to spend time with the kids and I want to do something other than taking them to practices or taking them to sports or taking them to PTA meetings or taking them to functions or plays or any of that stuff. And I just want to spend time with my family around a pool or to go hiking together or whatever it is. So the first part of this podcast is going to be to identify a healthy option of something that you like to do, because we all have the items. Now, what happens is we start to forget about those items because we let life run us. And then we're spinning our wheels and we're looking around and we're going, oh man, I don't even know what the hell's going on right now. Like I forgot all about those items that I know that I need in my life to be able to help me with those stress levels, to increase on those endorphins and all the things that I've got going on in my world to bring that blood pressure down. I know what they are, but I just don't do them because I got so much crap going on in my life. I'll tell you a little story real quick, okay? So story time, everybody. So one of the reasons why I haven't necessarily recorded as much as I would like to is because I got a lot going on in my life, okay? Not only outside of the political landscape of everything that you got going on, I'm pushing all that aside because we try not to talk about that here on this podcast. Push all that aside. What I am talking about, though, is I've got all these other things that are happening. I just found out that my job is downsizing, so I'm going to be losing another job. You guys were all part of the journey with me probably throughout the whole entire pandemic and know that I lost my other job that I had invested 15 years in, a corporate job that was getting paid really well, building for retirement and everything else, and then it was cut from underneath me because of COVID, because of downsizing, because of cuts, whatever else. So then I picked up a new job. And the new job is working for a printing company. So I've been there for almost 4.5, I think almost 5 years. But again, the consumer confidence and consumer spending has gone way down. So basically they have to make some cuts. And I'm one of the higher paid individuals there. So they pretty much came to me and said, you got to start looking for something else. Okay, so stress level, right? The bells are going off, the dings, the alarms are going off. I can't afford my mortgage. I can't afford food on the table, whatever else, because, basically I was the breadwinner and my wife was supplemental. And now she's going to be pretty much the main source of income until I can find another job. So the stress level around working is one thing. Okay. Second thing is I do have my son who lives in the house with us. And I'm okay with that, right? I want him to have the opportunity to save money. He's doing so many great things. He's investing in Roth IRAs. He's doing a high yield savings account. He's doing all kinds of stuff, stocks and all this other things. He's making good money where he works in a kitchen. He didn't want to go to college or anything like that. So he pretty much hunkers down. He works his tail off. He has great work ethic and he does it. But he still lives in the house with us. And we still have to be able to afford to be able to put food in the house, to be able to take care of them, to take care of everything from laundry to electricity to all these things. So on top of losing a job, on top of that is we've got to make sure that we are putting all these things together. Hey guys, one of the things that I get from a lot of individuals that listen to the show, that watch the show, that follow me on social media is, how can I help the podcast? Well, here's one of the ways that you can. I have a Patreon page. Now, you may not be familiar with what a Patreon page is, but what you can do is you can sign up to become a patron of the show. You could donate monthly to the show. Now, after a few months of donating monthly to the show, there's different tiers to be able to donate to. But you'll get some tchotchkes back. You'll get some merchandise back. You'll get something for actually donating to the show. But in the meantime, it helps to alleviate some of the cost that comes into running a podcast or doing different stuff. So if you're looking to support, I'm going to place the link of the Patreon page right into the bio. And I'll also tell you what it is. It's www.patreon.com/that's_life. And this way, you can support the podcast, you can give back, we can do all kinds of different stuff, and we can grow together. So I appreciate all the support you've given me in the past and in the future and right now. So thank you so much, and back to the show. Thirdly, I got my in-laws who live about 4 hours away, who are not that healthy. You know, throughout the whole entire time, many of you have probably heard it on the podcast, their health is deteriorating day by day, and it just kind of goes downhill. And as they're aging, it's getting worse and worse. And so we have to think to ourselves, okay, they're living up there with the two of them. We have some in-care nurses that go by the house to take care of stuff, but we're waiting on whatever phone call that is of they're in the hospital or something happened or whatever else. So that stress level is also there. So now I've got a three-pronged approach of stress levels, right? I'm also, the fourth approach to it is, I know I'm overweight. I know my blood pressure is a little high. I know my doc and I have talked about different things to be able to accommodate that. So now I've got the four-pronged approach. 4 ways are coming at me left and right. And they're screaming at me like a freight train. And they're pretty much saying to me, these are your priorities. When rather, at the end of the day, I'm not prioritizing me in any of those equations, outside of maybe losing weight, right? But all those things are not a single focus on me. And how am I going to be able to attend to all those things, to be able to help and be the resource that I know that I need to be as a son-in-law, as a dad, as a husband, as a breadwinner, or somebody that goes out and works and does whatever it needs to happen to be able to pay the bills and do what I got to do. If I want to be able to do all those things, I have to start to prioritize myself near the top of that equation. I got to stop prioritizing every single thing else that comes my way, and I've got to rise myself to the top. How many of you do that? How many of you can relate to the situation where you're not prioritizing yourself, you're not investing in yourself, you're not giving yourself the outlets to be able to do the things that you need to do to calm the nerves, to lower the blood pressure, and actually be able to start to fill your cup so that way when you are, I know it's cliche and I know it's an old adage, but it's so true. How many of you are pulling from an empty cup? You're reaching in there to try to be able to pull whatever it is out of there, and it's just an empty space. And then you're devastated, and you're tired, and you're exhausted, and you're wasted, and you're just literally looking around going, what else can happen to me right now? So you're not in the right frame of mind. And anything else that comes your way, it literally starts breaking you down at the knees. And then you're like, okay, what? It's just going to keep on coming. All the hits keep coming. Over and over and over again. It just keeps on coming at me, and I just can't get away from it. I can't skim it. I can't do whatever because my mindset is not in the right place. And I know at the end of the day, when I'm in the right mind space and I've got the right frame of mind and everything that I'm trying to do, And I know that I've got a framework of I'm doing some art or I'm going out for walks. That's another thing, right? So here's another thing that I think everybody that lives in northern states right now, because I know down south there's a lot of really warm weather coming around. There's green grass showing, palm trees are booming, all kinds of great stuff. But up north, we still have those really, really frigid cold days. You know, we just had the time change. So basically the sunlight's out a little bit more, which is a blessing. And I love everything about sunlight. As we all know, it's part of therapy for me. But when you live up north, those winter blues of the cold temperatures, of not being able to go out for walks or not being able to get fresh air and go for those exercises that you want to do, you're forced with having to go on a treadmill, or you're forced with having to go on different things to be able to, take care of all those, whatever it is. It's all indoors. It's not ideal. And if you like getting outside and going for walks and those kind of things, that helps your mental state of things. It helps to recharge your batteries. It helps to do all those things. And the problem is that with the winter blues, that's the fifth part of the prong that I was talking about. All these stresses, but the winter blues. I haven't been out to walk in a while because there's still snow and ice on the ground. It's still freezing cold, and I want to be able to do so, but I can't right now. But it's starting. I can feel it a little bit where I'm like, ooh, I can probably go out for a walk, or I can probably go for things like that. And I know that is a good place for me, because when I go outside to go for walks and do different things, it matters, because these are things that I love. Fresh air, the flowers blooming, the grass being cut, all the things. As I'm going for my walk, I got my headphones on and I go. You guys have all seen me on the Facebook page and whatever else when I go out for exercise and things like that. It just puts me in a better place. So that way I can do those kind of things, and I can get back into those kind of things and invest in me, so that way all the other items are manageable, or I should say more manageable, right? Nobody really wants to be dealing with your parents aging out. It's sad. It's scary. It's all these things, right? And my in-laws are just like my own family. I've been married now for 23 years, together for 25. And at the end of the day, the way I look at it is they're just like my family. And so I see both of them aging, and I'm like, man, this is really stressing me out. But I'm able to attack it a little bit more, or be a little bit more level-headed about my decisions and about our decisions together when we can do it. Oh, by the way, the sixth item, this just gives you a good snapshot into everything that's been going on. The sixth item that's going on is we had just a couple weeks ago, we had an ice dam on the top of our garage, the section that goes from the garage up to the taller part of the house. The flashing underneath it, the ice dam built up and the water started pouring into our kitchen. So now I have a kitchen that's ripped apart. I got no cabinets. I got a little built-in sink that they put in there. My whole entire countertop is out. Everything's out. They pulled the floor up. They did all kinds of stuff. And now we got to go through a rebuild. So, and then I'm hoping the insurance will come through to be able to help us to be able to rebuild the way that we need to, because you know how they are. They want to cut all these little edges and cut all these little corners and whatever else that goes on. So that's the sixth thing. So again, the reason that I can attack these things and the reason that I can actually sit down and go, okay, all right, I got to get to the right frame of mind is one of three things for me. And I've identified them this way. One of the things is artwork, my digital art. I go in, I grab my iPad, I sit there, and my wife usually knows. She can usually see me when I'm in the artistic mode, and she just leaves me alone. She says, just go do what you got to do. And I'll get in there and I'll design some graffiti, or I'll do some lettering, or I'll do something with some layers and some other stuff, maybe some T-shirt designs, things like that or whatever. And I'm putting those things together, and that's therapeutic for me. So it's one of my options that I can go to. The second option is podcasting. So whether it's a video cast to talk about politics, or whether it's this podcast here to talk about life in general, or just audio work. I just recorded a commercial for somebody and all this other things that I got going on. So these are fun things for me. I love doing these things because, one, I can get a lot off my chest. I can talk about things. I can vent. I can get to a better place, right? And the third thing is now, like I just said, is walking. To get out after I had a long day, I could put on my headphones and I could just go for a nice long walk and listen to some good tunes and not worry about anything while I'm out the door, right? Until I come back into the door, and then I'm in a better place to be able to do so. So those are the three items that I've identified. And I hope that you have more than just one thing that you like to do to be able to breathe, to be able to accept, to be able to help yourself, to bring yourself to a better place. And I hope you find that. I hope you identified that. So at the top of that list, like I just talked about in your journal or on that piece of paper, you have the items or item that you have in your life that you know works for you, okay? So let's keep that as a side note. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to list out the items that are going on today. Just today. Just one day in the life of Julie or the life of Karen or the life of Jim or whoever's listening to this podcast. I want you to list out the items that you have on your agenda to do today. And the reason I want you to do this is because I want you to also understand a lot of times we overwhelm ourselves with so many items that sometimes we just don't feel like we can get ahead of anything because we have so much going on. So if you list out the items, let's say you got 10 items listed, and now you've ranked them from 1 to 10, most important down to least important. And I want you to be able to do that because here's the thing. The things that are the least important probably can be pushed off to the next day, right? They don't have to be taken care of right now. Maybe it's something that's got something going on with it. You can kind of like push it over here, but the high priority items, the things that you know have to get taken care of, the things that you know have to be done, all are ranked towards the top of your priority of your list of things to do or invest in, okay? So now, for you to be able to accomplish those things that you have listed, 1 through 10 or whatever the order that you've listed in, you've got to be able to incorporate the thing at the top of the page that I said for you to write down. You got to be able to put it on your agenda of things to do to be able to do that. And I know it sounds kind of like, okay, I got so much going on. I got no time to do artwork. I got no time to do pickleball. I don't have time to sit there and go for a walk. Here's where you have to make the time. You have to make yourself a priority. I have to make myself a priority because oftentimes I'm so depleted and I'm so wasted that I'm looking up going, I don't know how I can even do this. I look at my wife all the time and I say to her, babe, I don't think I could do this journey if I wasn't with you because you're there to pick me up when I need it and you're there to be able to knock me down a peg if I get too high, which is, I think in my mind, in my world, it's a perfect relationship. We can do that to each other. We communicate really well. And she knows when I'm down, right? And she also knows that I've been down a lot lately because of all the stuff that I've got going on. But she also knows the things that make me happy. And she's like, you need to focus on that. So like a podcast where right now it's a Friday night and I'm recording this with you guys. And at the end of the day, we could be just spending time together. We could be downstairs watching television or we can go in for a walk, whatever else is there. But she knows that this is a priority for me. She knows this is an item that I need in my life to be able to right size things and give me the ability to be able to attack all those other things when I need to. This has to be a part of my journey. This has got to be a part of everything that I'm working on. This has got to be a part of the calming forces, everything that I want to be able to do in life, et cetera, et cetera. This has to be part of it. So she makes that space for me to be able to spend a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour with editing and everything else that goes on to be able to do this here, to be able to talk about things. But the reason that she does that is because she knows that is part of the process of making me the priority. She also struggles with it. She's like the helicopter mom. She's taking care of her adult child. She's taking care of her husband child. She's taking care of all this different stuff. She's going shopping. She does all kinds of stuff around the house. She takes care of all of us, right? It takes care of the laundry with us. I do a lot too, but she literally is the one that runs the show. And she does it all the time and does it. And she works a full-time job and she's got all this stuff going on where she also doesn't take the time to prioritize herself, which she should be doing. She loves running. She loves going for half marathons. She loves how it feels. But again, the winter blues kind of took her away from that. She doesn't like going on the treadmill. All the excuses that you want to be able to lay out there for not investing in yourself. We all do it. All of us. So what she does for me by saying, go record or go do some art or go do something that's going to be able to get you to your happy place, I do the same for her to say, hey, let's think about that. Let's work on that, especially with all the tumultuous, no kitchen, no anything going on right now. We need those moments to be able to invest in ourselves because we're not going to be able to be effective in anything we're trying to do if we're not investing in us, and we're not filling our cup to be able to tap into. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at that little piece of paper or that journal or whatever it is you wrote this down on, and remember the top 1, 2, 3 items at the top of the page are things that you love to do. And here's what I want you to do. Amongst all those 10 items that you have there, I want you to, we already ranked them, so 1 to 10, or however many you have. Maybe it's 1 through 7, maybe it's 1 through 6. And I want you to be able to take one of the items that are at the top of the page, and I want you to slide it in the order somewhere near the top of your priority. So if you got 1, 2, 3, I want you to put it at about 2 or 3. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to book an appointment for yourself. I want you to go into your phone. This is what I have to do for myself. So I'm sharing this as the best practice. I want you to go into your phone. I want you to open up your calendar app, and I want you to make an appointment for yourself to do exactly what one of those top items at the top of that page is. I want you to set time aside for yourself to do the things you love to do that will calm you, that will fill your cup. It will give you the energy and the resources and the mindset to be able to move forward. So if those items are prioritized at the top of the item and you put them in your calendar, now what I want you to do is I want you to set an alarm around that calendar. I want you to set an alarm that goes off that's the most obnoxious, most hideous, annoying alarm that you can even think of. And I want it to go off loud and proud. So if you want to set it for 10 a.m. for you to be able to invest in you, whether it's a meditation session, whether it's a go exercise, whatever it is, whatever you have as your item of your filling your cup item, because now we're focusing on investing in ourselves, not everybody else. And I want you to make an appointment. I want you to deliver on that appointment. And I want, when that alarm goes off, even if it may be annoying and you think to yourself, I don't have the time, here's my best advice that I'll give to you that you'll probably hear forever and ever. Make the time. Make yourself a priority enough that you matter. Make yourself an item that you have to invest in for yourself. Because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody. You're the only one that can be successful in investing in you. You can have people that help out, or maybe they'll do something for you nice to get you some flowers or whatever else. Those kind of, whatever that whole avenue looks like to you. The only person that's going to be effective enough with investing in you is you. So make yourself a priority. You deserve it. You are on this earth to be able to do we're only here for a short amount of time, right? And if we keep spinning our wheels and we just keep on grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding, and we don't ever take a moment for ourselves to breathe, to smell the roses, to look at the sun, to do whatever it is, the moments that we need in our lives to be able to help ourselves, we're going to die young and stressed out. So at the end of the day, take the time to prioritize you in the agenda of things that you have going on during your day, during your week, and during your month. Once a day, you should be investing in yourself in some form or fashion. This shouldn't be a once a week. It shouldn't be a once a month. This should be once a day. I had a friend of mine that used to set a calendar appointment, and he put the alarm in for meditation. So he knows he was going to go do meditation for about 15 minutes. And that's all it would take is 15 minutes to sit down and be able to put himself into a room, shut off the lights, and just meditate. Put the headphones in and do what he's got to do right in the middle of the workday. And he would do it during one of his breaks. And he would the alarm would go off, and he'd step off the floor. He'd go back there, boom, and he'd sit down, and he would go through it. And every day he would come out of that meditation session looking like a brand new man. And he looked like, oh man, I feel great now. Because that was his go-to. That was his peace. That was his blood pressure reducer across the board. And so I learned from him that he made it a priority to invest in himself. No matter what's going on at work, with all the customers, with everything else that was going on, he took the time to step away in that moment to be able to say, yep, I'm prioritizing me over everything else right now. We need to be better at that. You need to be better at that. I need to be better at that. So let's commit to that. Let's commit to that action of making ourselves a priority. Put it in your calendar to invest in yourself. Find the things that are going to fill your cup, and let's execute on it, and let's go and do great things together, okay? You're worth that investment, and so am I. Much love to you all, and we'll talk on the next episode.
thank you for listening to the That's Life podcast. Please leave us a 5-star rating and any feedback on whatever platform you're using.